What is up, guys? It is Jed Wrestling here with a video that I have always wanted to make. This is something I've been thinking about for a very long time. Every WWE Elite series rated. How this is going to work. This is going to be series 1 through 20 in particular. How this is going to work. I'm going to put every figure in the series up on the screen and give you my star rating as well as my favorite figure and my least favorite figure out of that particular series. This is going to be really fun. This is going to be something I'm going to complete. We're going to have every Elite series of all time rated. Obviously, we're going to do 1 through 20 here, and then 41 through like maybe 21 through 40, maybe 41 through 60. We'll see how it works. We'll progress onward, and we'll finish this series. We would have rated every Elite series of all time, but this is 1 through 20. Without further ado, let's start off with Elite Series 1. This series contains MVP, CM Punk, The Undertaker, Edge, and Rey Mysterio. Technically, the Jeff Hardy was a part of this series, but I'm not counting that. It was an unreleased figure. Very few actually made it out to like shops and are like actually in existence, like legitimate versions. So I'm not counting that. But my favorite figure out of the series is gonna go to MVP, believe it or not. I think this is a really good figure for the time. I think it has a lot of different details on it. Head sculpt's nice, considering that it's like 14 years old or something at this point. It really holds up, and it's still a really nice MVP. I like that one, and that's my favorite figure out of the series. Least favorite figure out of the series, obviously this was the first ever Elite set. They're not going to have as much of the like technologies that we have now for the figures, but we just got to look at it through like the eyes of those times. My least favorite figure out of the series is going to be The Undertaker. I feel like this is one of the weakest Undertaker Elites of all time. Not that it's like just outrageously the most trash figure you'll ever see, but it comes with a big rubber coat that inhibits a bunch of articulation. Head sculpt's not the greatest, and just overall, I would rather have all the other figures out of the series than that Undertaker. Elite Series 1 overall, I think it's a W, man. I really do. I think it's a home run. I think it's a good way to like get your brand out there for the collectors. I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. That rating goes for Elite Series 1. Elite 2, this series contains Matt Hardy, Batista, R-Truth, Ted DiBiase Jr., Triple H, and Randy Orton. I like how every figure out of this series comes with a cloth good. That definitely puts a little bit of bonus on this series for me. But the figures itself are just okay. Star rating, I'm going to give it 3 stars. I don't think it's as good as Elite Series 1. I think it's got some decent figures in there. Just overall, nothing is really like insanely exciting to me out of that series. But my favorite figure is going to be Triple H. I think that's a really good Triple H, especially for the time. Head sculpt might not be the greatest, but I think everything else really compensates for it, especially with that cloth shirt with like the really cool decal on the front, the sledgehammer, the water bottle. It's a pretty nice Triple H, so that's my favorite figure out of the series, Triple H. And then the worst figure out of the series is going to go to Ted DiBiase Jr. It's a good representation of him. I like the legacy shirt, but I just think like the gear's a little bit bland. And Ted DiBiase Jr. It's not necessarily like the character, but it's just like the figure itself, the attire and all that. Not the most exciting. So favorite figure Triple H, least favorite figure. Elite Series 3, we got Shawn Michaels, The Miz, Cody Rhodes, Christian, Santino Marella, and John Cena. Pretty stacked series. The first ever Elite John Cena, which I find pretty surprising. I thought he was actually in Elite Series 2 originally, but he was in Elite Series 3, along with all the other guys that I mentioned. Favorite figure out of the series, I wanted to say John Cena, but just like when a figure gets re-released, like that figure was re-released in the top picks line, so when a figure gets re-released, the older version just doesn't look as good almost 100% of the time. So I gotta go with Shawn Michaels as my favorite figure out of the series. I think this figure is very slept on. I think it's underrated. I think this figure goes forgotten a lot. It's a perfect representation of like a 2009 Shawn Michaels. Really, really cool. Black pants, cloth shirt, just everything about that Shawn Michaels I'm really into. It's a great figure, especially for the time. And then, as for my least favorite figure out of the series, I hate to do it because I gave it to Ted DiBiase in Elite Series 2, but my least favorite figure out of the series is going to be his former tag team partner in the Legacy, Cody Rhodes. Same Legacy shirt, basically same reasons as Ted DiBiase as why he's getting the number 6 spot, like my least favorite out of the series. Bland figure, and just overall, I would rather have all the other figures out of the series over that one. Elite 4 as a whole, I would probably give it 4 stars. It's a pretty good series. I meant Elite 3. It's pretty funny how I said Elite 4 because the next series we're going to be looking at is Elite Series 4. This contains Kofi Kingston, Finlay, Kane, Chris Jericho, The Big Show, and John Morrison. And my favorite figure out of the series is John Morrison. That stunning red robe. Just an absolutely awesome figure. Probably the best John Morrison ever made. And I really do want to track it down someday because that's a figure that I really want. The red coat, the glasses, red gear. It's just amazing. Love that John Morrison. The least favorite figure out of the series, it's going to go to The Big Show. I like how they did the cloth singlet here. I just think like just the cloth material that they had at the time made the singlet not really work and like made it like not look as good on the figure in my opinion. And that head sculpt also isn't my favorite Big Show head sculpt that they've ever done. My favorite figure out of the series is John Morrison. Least favorite, Big Show. Elite 4, I'm probably going to give it, funnily enough, 4 stars. 5 contains Vladimir Kozlov, Jack Swagger, Dolph Ziggler, Mark Henry, Chavo Guerrero, and Rey Mysterio. Favorite figure out of the series is going to go to Chavo Guerrero. I think it's an underrated figure. I think it's a figure that aged well. The cloth poncho is really nice, as is the headband. I do really like that Chavo Guerrero. Not as much liked of a figure for me is the Jack Swagger. Elite 5 Jack Swagger is pretty weak, and it is my least favorite figure out of the series. Cloth singlet, I feel like they could have done if he was just wearing like trunks underneath, but instead they decided to go with like a whole other singlet underneath that, so you can still see like the black singlet when you have the blue singlet on. It just looks kind of ridiculous, and is not my favorite figure of all time. Elite 5, another 4-star series for me. Elite Series 5, pretty good one. Elite Series 6. In this series, we have Batista, Matt Hardy, CM Punk, Goldust, JTG, and Shad of Crime Time, of course. My favorite figure out of the series is going to be JTG. I think this is a very toyetic figure. I think it's a figure that I actually do want to add to my collection, believe it or not. I want the JTG, I want the Shad, but I think I want the Shad more. I mean, like, the JTG more, because, like, it's really toyetic, all the accessories, just a bunch of cool stuff. The white and black glasses, really nice JTG, perfect representation of him. And my least favorite figure out of the series is going to be Batista. I think, like, it's a good figure, but it's, like, really similar to the Elite 2, just minus the referee's shirt, and added, like, glasses and a microphone. Kind of a lazy figure. Not a figure we necessarily needed. And I feel like if they were going to plug another Batista into that line, they could have done, like, more of a different attire than the Elite Series 2, as it was basically the same attire. But yes, Elite 6, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Perhaps one of the most stacked WWE Elite series of all time, Elite 7. This could be the best series we've looked at so far. Elite 7, Tyson Kidd, David Hart Smith, John Cena, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Hornswoggle. If we would have gone back, like, say, like this time last year or something, I would have given the #1 spot to Shawn Michaels. But I just feel like, once again, that re-release of the From the Vault, I think it's like really like devaluing to the like original Elite, which is kind of the point, granted, but it just doesn't make it look as good. And when you like look at it now through modern eyes, especially as we have the new From the Vault, you're like man, like that's like it's not really the best looking figure. But which I know it's like super duper old, but you're still looking at it, saying that. So I would say that the best figure out of the series nowadays is John Cena. Very underrated John Cena figure. I really wish this would have won the Ultimate Edition Fan Takeover vote, but it did not do that, unfortunately. But yes, John Cena, still the Elite 7, is really nice. Like one of his OG Fruity Pebbles attires with the orange. Really cool. Cena. And my least favorite figure out of the series, this is pretty tough. Every figure out of the series is really good, but I'm going to give it to David Hart Smith. Solid representation of him. It's just that it's slightly like bland in the face. I think he could have had more of a facial expression, like a smile or something. And just overall, I would rather have all the other figures out of the series over that David Hart Smith. That's just how things go. Elite Series 8. I didn't even know this until recently, but this was the first ever Elite Series which we ever got championships in, which is absolutely outrageous to me that took them until Elite Series 8 to give us titles. But yes, Elite 8, Edge, William Regal, The Undertaker, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, and Evan Bourne. Best figure out of the series is Edge. You might look at it and say, like, oh, big rubber jacket and all that. It's not that cool. But if you have it in hand, you know what I'm talking about. The attire is really, really nice for an Edge. I do think this is one of his more underrated figures. Definitely one of the better Edge figures. And I do own it, so that could be the reason why I hold it in a high regard. But yes, Edge is my favorite figure out of the series. Least favorite figure out of the series is Sheamus. This was his first ever Elite figure, so it's not gonna be like it was either hit or miss with those early figures. If I'm being totally honest, I'm just gonna come out and admit that it was either hit or miss. I think this Sheamus was slightly a miss. I don't really like that head sculpt that much, and the attire's kind of bland, but his attires were bland back then, so I guess that's kind of understandable. But yes, Edge is my favorite. Sheamus is my least favorite. I forgot to give my star rating for Elite 7, and I would personally give that 5 stars. I think, like, looking at through the odds of the time, I think it's a fantastic series. 5 out of 5, chef's kiss. And Elite Series 8, I would give it 4 stars. Elite Series 9, Zack Ryder, The Miz, MVP, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, and Luke Gallows. My favorite figure out of this series is MVP. I like how there's no sleeves, so you can see all the tattoo detail. I think that's a nice touch, and different from his Elite 1 figure, which is pretty cool. Attire's nice, accessories are nice. They always nail the MVP figures, like the Ruthless Aggression Elite. It's kind of similar to the Ruthless Aggression Elite as the Elite 9, but it's slightly different, but it's still a really, really cool figure. I do like that one. And my least favorite figure out of the series is going to be The Miz. Big rubber jacket, sort of bland attire. I like how he comes with the United States Championship. That is, to my knowledge, the first time we ever saw that belt in the line. So that's pretty nice. But overall, it's just my least favorite figure out of the series. Elite 9 as a whole, I would give it 3.5 stars. Elite Series 10, sort of a weird Elite Series in my opinion. Not necessarily weird, but just like some obscure figures in here. Kane, John Morrison, Ted DiBiase, R-Truth, Yoshitatsu, and The Big Show. My favorite figure out of the series is Yoshitatsu. Super duper underrated. I love the orange tassels. I love the tights. And I just think like overall the reason why it's underrated is that it didn't really come with anything, like no accessories really. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it's a really cool figure. It's a super cool Yoshitatsu. Very, very underrated is that Yoshi. Least favorite figure out of the series is going to be Kane. No real particular reason why. It's just that it's pretty similar to the Elite 4. Same head sculpt, I believe. Very similar gear. And I feel like there's just other things they could have plugged in here. This is kind of the period where they started to like repeat a lot more characters in their series. So that's why you saw a Kane in Elite 4, and then a very similar one in Elite Series 10. Elite 4 as a whole, Elite 10 as a whole, I would give it 3 stars. Elite 11, a much better series. We got Christian, Wade Barrett, John Cena, The Miz, Rey Mysterio, and the incredibly sought after Elite 11, CM Punk. Just like people back in the day going crazy, like, oh my gosh, the first CM Punk with short hair. And I think it's a really cool figure, but my favorite figure out of the series is John Cena. This might come as a surprise because a lot of people don't really like his purple attire, but I honestly think it's one of his underrated gears. I think it looks really nice. Definitely something they could re-release is the Elite 11 John Cena, especially with that vintage head sculpt and everything. They could re-release that Cena. My least favorite figure out of the series, this might come as a surprise because it's actually a really good figure. Every figure out of the series is good, but my least favorite is Rey Mysterio. I like the attire, but at the same time, it's like I don't know, like that Rey Mysterio, just like not really the most exciting Rey of all time. I know I just said I like the attire, but at the same time, it's just like all black, not really that cool. I'm half and half on the attire. As far as like the leg articulation, I heard it's not the best, but I can't really judge that because I don't have that figure. Favorite figure John Cena, least favorite figure Rey Mysterio, and my rating for this series is going to be 4.5 stars. You might think it could be 5, but I'm gonna give it 4.5 just due to just do a little things I'm not really a big fan of. Elite 12, they were finally getting some flashback figures up in here. You got Alberto Del Rio, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, Justin Gabriel, Kane, and Papa Shango, the two flashbacks, of course, being Kane and Papa Shango. Favorite figure out of the series is going to be Daniel Bryan. It was his first ever Elite figure. I think the attire is really unique. I think it really stands out. The white and red, like just random designs on it. Really cool. Comes with the United States Championship. Really nice Daniel Bryan. And my least favorite figure out of the series is going to be Randy Orton. Rubber shirt I don't really like. I actually do like this attire a lot with those decals on the trunks, the red. I actually like that attire a heck of a lot. but I think it's really cool. But Daniel Bryan is my favorite figure out of the series. Randy Orton is my least favorite. Elite 12 as a whole, I'm going to give it 4 stars. Elite Series 13, we got Sheamus, Rey Mysterio, Cody Rhodes, Dolph Ziggler, The Big Show, and Edge. Favorite figure out of the series, Cody Rhodes. I know they did re-release this figure originally in the Greatest Hits line, but I just think overall, I like the hoodie better on this one, just like the all black instead of the red designs on it. And I just think, like, overall, this figure is really timeless, really, really cool. I would never not like the original Elite 13 Cody Rhodes, something I always wanted until they re-released it in the Greatest Hits line, so I might get that. But yes, Cody Rhodes. And my least favorite figure out of the series is going to be the Big Show. It's another black singlet Big Show, and like sort of similar to the Elite Series 10 that we saw earlier. And it's definitely my least favorite figure out of the series. Elite 13 as a whole gets 3 stars from me. Elite 14 features The Undertaker, Big Boss Man, Alberto Del Rio, John Cena, The Rock, and King Booker T, the first ever Booker T. Favorite figure out of the series, John Cena. Once again, another one that they should re-release. They just need to re-release so many classic John Cenas. It would be really cool. This is more like a 2011 look. Really big fan of the color on the jeans. I think that was really good. Like before they had the two-tone stuff, like just doing that color of jeans. I think it's really, really nice. And the red armbands, the red shirt. Just everything ties together on that. Cena, really, really well. Least favorite figure out of the series, The Rock. As you'll see a little bit later, the Rock figures were not the best back then. Just like the head sculpts and everything, even though this head sculpt in particular isn't that bad in my opinion. You can't really see it in the photo, but just like the rubber shirt and just like Rock figures weren't really that exciting back then, weren't really that cool. So yes, it is my least favorite figure out of the series. Elite 14, yes, Elite 14, not 114. As a whole, 3.5 stars. Elite Series 15, here we go. Evan Bourne, Mark Henry, Rey Mysterio, R-Truth, Yokozuna, and Sin Cara. Really good series. Favorite figure out of the series is going to be Sin Cara. I think this figure is really, really cool. Based off his early 2011 run, like his 2011 debut run. He's got the gold trench coat with the little blue design on the front. Mask, just like everything about Sin Cara figures was always so cool. And I do want to get some Elite Sin Caras for the collection. Chief among them being that Elite 15 Sin Cara. It's amazing. Least favorite figure out of the series, I had to think pretty hard on this, but my least favorite figure out of the series is Evan Bourne. Just like that whole, like the orange and green attire, it works for like Kofi Kingston, but as far as like Evan Bourne and like the full tights, I don't think it looks the greatest. And just given that his Elite 8 figure was so good, and like this one, just like I feel like it's a bit of a step down in terms of Evan Bourne figures. That's just my opinion. And he comes with the not shiny tag team championship, which definitely doesn't help. But yes, my least favorite figure out of the series is Evan Bourne, and my final rating for Elite 15 is probably going to be four stars. I was thinking about 4.5, but 4 stars from me. Elite Series 16, the first ever series to have more than 6 figures in it. If you don't take into account those weird chases that they used to do in like Elite 4 mostly. But yes, Elite 16, 7 figures in this series. We got Kevin Nash and Diesel, Randy Orton, The Rock, CM Punk, Heath Slater, and Ezekiel Jackson. Favorite figure out of the series, pretty obvious, CM Punk. I know they're doing it in Ultimate Edition form pretty soon, which I'm freaking hyped about. I'm excited for that CM Punk. But yes, this Elite 16 Punk, much like the Elite 13 Cody Rhodes, will always be timeless. Always hold a special spot to in a lot of the hearts of wrestling fans and action figure collectors alike, just because of the iconic moment, the iconic attire for CM Punk, Chicago gear, best in the world, my favorite figure out of the series. And the worst figure out of the series is going to be The Rock. I think this is probably, it might be my least favorite Rock Elite of all time. I said like the 2 rubber shirts and then like the head sculpt in particular. Just like stay away from this Rock figure. I recommend so many other Rock figures over it. And yes, it's just not my favorite. Elite 16 as a whole, 4.5 stars. I'll give Elite 16 4.5 stars. A few more to go through. We got Elite Series 17. This contains Mankind, Kelly, John Cena, Zack Ryder, Kofi Kingston, and Sheamus. Best figure out of the series is John Cena. I think the black attire is really fire. Wow, that rhymed. The black attire is really cool with the Rise Above Hate shirt and the really unique I don't know quite what to call the camo on the shorts. Like it's really like pixelated camo. I think it looks really cool. And it's like a two-tone brown and then like a darker brown for the John Cena. Really nice. And my least favorite figure out of the series is going to be Kelly. I just think like the attire is pretty cool. I believe she also has a cloth good up top, like some sort of like long sleeve cloth good. And it comes with the Divas Championship, which is pretty cool. Just overall like a head sculpt, and then just like all the other figures out of the series taken into account, I would least like to have the Kelly out of that series. And it also doesn't help that like the women's elite figures back then were basically like the same as the women's basic figures, not really any differences at all. So that definitely doesn't help. How dark it is already outside is insane. It is 4:39 right now. It is 4:39. Elite Series 18, we got Wade Barrett, Jerry Lawler, Sin Cara, Rey Mysterio, Brodus Clay, and The Undertaker. Rey Mysterio is going to be my favorite figure out of the series. I think this is a very underrated figure of him. Green and black looks really nice. I like the shirt. I like the overhead mask. Really cool Rey. And Wade Barrett is going to be my least favorite figure out of the series. Just the whole like overthrow trench coat, overthrow. I don't even know like what to call it. Just like that big trench coat he has, like it's all rubber, and then the attire's not that cool. Just Wade Barrett is definitely my least favorite figure out of the series. Forgot to give my rating for Elite 17. I would give that 3.5 stars, and probably the same for this one. I would give this Elite 18 3.5 stars too. Elite Series 19. This was the first ever Elite Series where we had Brock Lesnar. We also have Kane, Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, Miss Elizabeth, and Shawn Michaels. I mentioned Brock Lesnar, and he is my favorite figure out of the series. 2012 Brock look, really nice. One of my favorite Brock Lesnar elites, if not my favorite Brock Lesnar elite of all time. Not my favorite Brock Lesnar Ultimate, but definitely my favorite elite. But Brock Lesnar is definitely the best figure out of the series, even with the rubber shirt. I think it's really nice. The worst figure out of the series is gonna go to Miss Elizabeth. This HUD sculpt is kind of cartoony, and I actually really like the dress. I like the white dress and all that. I think that's pretty nice. She has like the earrings and the all white. Looks pretty cool, but she is my least favorite figure out of the series. So Miss Elizabeth is my least favorite. Brock Lesnar is my favorite. I would give this series 3.5 stars as well. And finally, we have Elite Series 20. Christian, John Cena, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Santino Marella, and Chris Jericho. Favorite figure out of the series, once again, CM Punk. I think the blue trunks are really nice with the blue kick pads as well. Mattel, please re-release the Elite Series 20 CM Punk. We need that figure redone. I even like this head sculpt a lot. I think this is like one of CM Punk's best head sculpts with the smart facial expression. Looks really nice. Comes with the Spinner WWE Championship. And my least favorite figure out of the series, believe it or not, John Cena. It's far from the worst figure you'll ever find, but I just think not coming with a shirt holds it back a little bit, and the briefcase especially looks weird with just like the really small logo in the center. But CM Punk is my favorite, John Cena is my least favorite, and overall, I'd probably give this series, honestly, it's pretty good. I would give it 5 stars. I'm just gonna do it. 5 stars for Elite Series 20. Super nice. That has been my rating of every WWE Elite Series 1 through 20. This is something I always wanted to do, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Next one of this series we're going to be doing, obviously, we're going to be doing 21, 40, 61, 80, 81, 100, things like that. It's going to be really cool, so I'm definitely excited to do it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Jed Wrestling, out.